gunslingers, poets and scribes, non-penners and covert G's, lovers, neighbours and friends. Welcome to our den. My name is Dr. Howl, and if you've been to one of our events before, you know the score. I'm neither a lone wolf nor a leader of the pack, but part of the collective Nia movement dedicated to promoting and celebrating the word in all its forms. And so here tonight we are at the good ship Cloud with our helmsman Pierre, Captain my captain, and his fine crew ready to invite us on a journey into poetic and prose mayhem. Because on the stage before you, a number of old souls and new voices will step up to the microphone with no reservations, and sparks of inspiration will seek to shine bright before us. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Howl Word Jam 2020, the Capital Edition. Okay, after that fine soliloquy, welcome. Grab a seat. So before we get started tonight with our first poet, we have a couple of small logistical matters to deal with. These are quite important. The first thing is, as noted, we'll hear from a number of old souls. Wayne McCallum, you look like an old soul. As well as a number of new voices. Now, if you would like to speak tonight, perhaps to do a sonnet, a haiku, a lyric or rhyme, maybe a little bit of fiction, non-fiction, original, unoriginal, maybe a little bit of erotica, then, as long as it's no more than 5 minutes, read from the screen, your mind, or from the page, please see Mr. Robert Starkweather, who's at the bar.
No.
Oh, there he goes. And we will add your name to our list. Now, a little word of warning. We've done many of these events in Siem Reap. Things start a little bit slow, but by the end of the first session, the list is almost full. By the start of the second, it is, and people start missing out. So don't hold back, don't have any reservations. Secondly, tonight we have a couple of prizes for the best new voices and best new voice runner-up. Now, part of the way we will judge this will be audience feedback. Maybe we may wish to clap, you may wish to laugh, you may even cry a tear, but we'd like you to do something else. We'd like you to howl. So whenever you hear a line before, during, or after, and I tell you what, nothing gives a reader more inspiration than a little bit of feedback during a reading. We want you to howl. We want you to howl so loud that the barkeeps down there in Bassac Lane spill their mojitos. So loud that the dogs of Storm Minche know that there is a new pack in town. Are you ready for it, Phnom Penh? Okay, well, now we're going to do a test. Okay. Now, on the count of 3, I'd like you to give us the most inspirational, enthusiastic, and passionate howl that you can, okay? Now, just a little bit of thing here. Those guys in Siem Reap, they can howl. But I hear that Phnom Penh audience are more passionate and enthusiastic, so I have high hopes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, on the count of 3. Moi, Bi, Bai, That's not bad, but as the doctor said to the man of ED, can you keep it up? Okay, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome up to the stage for our very first reading tonight, a man who goes all the way back to the true spirit of the beats. Mr. Antonio, would you like to take the stage?
Yes, I would. Thank you very much. Thanks so much for that wonderful introduction, Dr. Howl. It's fantastic to be here tonight with all of you. I'd like to celebrate this poetry by reading a poem entitled The Privileged Party While Rome Burned. She was everybody's woman. She was nobody's woman. Raped and tortured in Africa. Imprisoned and whipped in Saudi Arabia. The high bourgeoisie inhabit a goldfish bowl world, self-obsessed, myopic, existing in an opulent vacuum. The dying sunset reddens the fields emerald as they jet set first class from Paris to Khartoum. Attired in the bespoke cape of self-righteousness, champagne socialists are ruled by narcissistic materialism, indifferent, in denial of the planet's injustices. The New World Order leaves no room for dissidence or criticism. Il y a un temps, we lived in a golden age of acid, green apple punch, nights, bacchanalian. We venerated Baudelaire, did symbolism ravage, our idealism pure, our dreams carnelian. We were lysergic lions in golden cages, fighting against apartheid for civil rights, anti-war activists, rewriting history's pages. Filigree music rang and wafted through the nights. The Renaissance crushed by Byzantine politics and intrigues. Our cultural revolution slipped into a vortex of twilight papers, castrated by government hypocrisy, politicians' charades, oil money and land grabs destroying the forces of ethos and logos. Conspicuous consumption led to an erosion of civil liberties. The architecture of high-rent society perverted democracy. Freemasonry of free thinkers imprisoned for their philosophies. Society descending into unilateralism, authoritarianism, autocracy. So the privileged, as Rome crumbles and burns, infected by the malaise, exchange tales of sexual iniquities and watch soap operas on television as the world turns like a ship in a tempest, sinking, laden with jeweled antiquities. I would like to present two poems that are set here in Cambodia. The first is entitled No Exit, the Afterlife. Cast adrift on the highway to nowhere, alone with forages in the forest wild. Rampant, he feasts on rams, foul and fair, shifty eyes polished to deceive the victims mild. The bard is free from the gulag of dissonance. He flees from the black hell of lost time. The sacred symbol of contrarian, he never exits. He lives the revelation of the dark ride of wanderers sublime. Persephone visits him in lysergic dreamscapes. Sunrise burnishes sculptures of the Khmer Empire as she strides divine amidst tropical landscapes, resplendent Angkor Wat shines in paisley fire, monarch of a civilization long gone and dead. The shrine worships the divinity of the monarch. Delicate sculptural ornamentation defines his head. Om Mani Padme Hum, monarch's manhood sheathed in the lotus. In this garden of good and evil she strives, inviting the poet to eat from her pomegranate. Sanguine fluids trickle down his mouth's sides. He is now exiled forever to this netherworld of granite. Existence is reinforced by the propinquity of death, fugitive of fate, trapped like an insect in amber. Sunset falls on shadows of a lupine beast's breath. Nowhere's final resting place. No exit. The afterlife. Existence. I would like to conclude this evening with monsoon rains, reflected by the rippling waters of the moat, surrounding Angkor Wat, its ruins and scarred towers, moonlit clouded skies, above the temple float, kismet in collusion with darkness and its powers. Outlaw pharaohs, you reigned in the bars and salons of Montmartre, a flower blooming on damnation's trampled grounds. Literary highwaymen, you drank and smoked with Jean-Paul Sartre. Beautiful and damned are music's subterranean sounds. Monsoon rains shower the jungle and its graves. Young French sailors once danced and sang with taxi girls, whilst holy men hid secrets inside ancient caves, and loved forever a complacent lover enslaves. Incessant wanderer in opium dens of old Shanghai, visions of warm lagoons with fish bright blue, and vapors of the pipe inspire dreams of sweet Hawaii, of spies, debauchees, and lovers, tried and true. Roaring boy, in your licentious halcyon youth, you unloaded smugglers' cargoes of spices and rum, betrayed by kleptocrats of the New World Order. Uncouth reality chases the tale of fantasy as you drum. So you rule eternal where every trade is possible, having escaped the Iron Maiden and its interior of spikes and blades. Moonlight falls on land where every vice is permissible. Shining ones, precursors of the beats, the hip and the dead. Thank you very much.
Wow, what a good way to start. The words are out there tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome up to the stage now a very special poet here from Phnom Penh. Now, way back in January, which now seems an age ago, we had a very special word jam event in Siem Reap. We had Marsha Baber, the grandmother of Canadian poetry. If she's a grandmother, she's very sprightly. But we also had Mr. Scott Bywater, not the grandfather of Phnom Penh poetry, perhaps the godfather. Godfather, would you like to come on up and regale us with some of your fine verse? Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it from Scott Bywater.
Thank you very much. I was very proud to be included in this book that I hope everyone's going to take home. One for your mum and one for the cousin that you can't ever buy a present for, and send it to them one day. I'm going to read you from one of the poems that was included in here. That was actually after I went up in August to Siem Reap for a Howl event. I was walking around in Siem Reap for the first time. Actually walking around in Siem Reap, not just going up there, doing a gig and running back to Phnom Penh as fast as I could. But it was a different town. This is so here it is. Walking in the old town that I first knew, wishing that I could afford all the massages and tuk-tuk rides I'm being offered. Though they need the money more than I. They ain't selling too many elephant pants these days. The less the throng, the more the space. And once the thrall had stretched the bounds of containment, but now there's too much of nothing. Shutters, house for rent, gone. I wander behind my nose, guided by disjointed memory. 13 years now of when was I at this place, and with which beer or which coffee or which margarita afternoon, and with who? My past Siem Reap tour companions, I wish you well so far down the line. The surface is like a lined, lived-in face, outward signs of an inward struggle. Folks still mill around the food vendors, sprinkle through the mobile coffee stalls, but deep in the market it's cold and still. Cambodia, it appears, continues to take its beatings with a shrug and a shy smile, consoled by family, ritual, karaoke, beer, and endless snacking for those with a couple of thousand real in hand. But surely I project. I really know so little of how it all works, with my dozen phrases and ability to count as far as 20, as I continue to hope to find the half of 1% that might contribute day by day to my chosen Cambodian families. So it's another day of staring into the future with a hopeful heart despite, remembering that one day, this day will be one of the memories that I recall. Thank you very much. Along with this book, tonight I've also got a bunch of other books of my poetry, a collection of lyrics, and a collection of interviews with musicians from Phnom Penh from last year around the traps, which was 2019 version. The 2020 version will be a little slimmer, but it will be coming in early January. I'll read you another one from. I really love to tell this story. I hit upon this line that was in one of the poems. The Dream Orchestra keeps playing the same tune, and then the printers, God bless them, came up with the most wonderful, a very very positive error on the spine. It says, playing the same tune the Dream Orchestra keeps, and with jokes about hindsight. But we weren't prepared for this. So many of our thoughts are inadequate to requirements. Fight or flight, shout or hide. History can be hard enough to live through, all staring at the same things, unable to look away. Vague recollections of 2005. old enough to know better, and doesn't seem so long ago. But now the distance between then and now is the distance between birth and first picking up a guitar. Clearer is 2008 when everything changed and I could see a future again. In 1967 our hero arrives, pink and screaming, yet white and comfortable, with no plans to change the world. He lives through the summer of love and then the violent exchanges of 1968, oblivious. Wars come and go. It takes a long time to find out that the world can be a terrifying place. 2020 began with jokes about hindsight, but we weren't prepared for this. Thank you very much. Thank you, Wayne.
So a little bit of plug here. Scott was reading from our Face Masks and Hand Gels anthology, which is a collective of writing themed around events over the last 12 months. Most of them have a sort of COVID edge, as they would, but there's a lot of other writing in there too. And I can see a few faces who have contributed and we'll be maybe reading a little bit later on. It's only $5, it retails for $7, so get it here tonight and get a good deal, okay? I'd just like to do one particular poem from here. This was submitted by a very good friend from Japan. It was her experience of the COVID in that particular part of the world. Every year we went, Kagoshima, Kumamoto, or some other place. Mum, dad, sister and brother. A family together for once, a family in one space. But in these COVID times, the tradition was broken. And there were no blossoms in March, no dappled pink in the chill twilight, or sakura picnics, warm sake and barbecue beneath a pink pebbled rain. Instead, in the year of the virus, delight and wonder gave way to fear and Nippon staidness. Everyone seeking to go with the flow by not going anywhere. Except to work, we are, after all, still Japanese. Stuck in our rooms, prisoners inside our own beiged walls. And it's over now, or so the fireworks say. But so are the blossoms, resigned to memory after the hard days of spring. So I must pray that my parents will be here next year to enjoy the open buds minus masks and COVID cares. And once more we will mark our spot and celebrate life, family and rebirth. A clan united under the branches. And then I will know that this time has truly passed. You're up. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome up to the mic stand a new voice. I think it's the first time he's actually done a reading in public. So let's give him a lot of Howl love. And are you ready? In the meantime, while he's getting ready, I just want to say something special. One of the people who was meant to be here tonight was Kasol Kev. And as some of you may know, he had a family health emergency a couple of nights ago. Everyone is well, and but I'd like us to send out a big howl of love to Kasol and Marissa and to the young one tonight, and pray that they get well and everyone gets better. Let's hear it now. Thanks, brother. So, who's up next? Clyde?
Me?
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting the names wrong. I haven't got the clip.
My name's Carl.
Carl! I was in the zone. Sorry. That's what happened to me.
Go, Carl!
Carl, take us on a poetic journey, please.
You can call me Clay.
That's a good name though.
I feel really unprofessional because I've got stuff written on paper. My works are a little bit crass compared to the other people. And I don't want to offend anyone, but I say fuck, I say cunt, and I talk about drugs. Not because I think it's cool, but it's how people talk. So my first work is called Nightclub. So I'm getting ready to go out and I realise that my shirt ain't been ironed. Never mind, I'm only going to Cloud Bar, maybe Oscar's on the corner. Either way, it's roll another joint or iron my shirt. So fuck it, creases it is then. I have a shot of Sambuca and a cheeky cheroot. The tuk-tuk's here now, Carl. It's time to shoot. So now it's about 1:30 in the morning. I'm in the club and I'm on my own. I can't find my friends and I've got no data left on my phone. And all of a sudden I feel a big fat sweaty hand on my shoulder. Fucking hell, it's the bouncer. Why is he coming over? He's seen me having a piss by the fire exit. I'm in a nightclub. It's not a very nice place to be. I'm in a nightclub. And a chav wanker is starting on me. I'm in a nightclub. I've heard all of this music before. I'm in a nightclub. And the bouncer's showing me the door. So now it's about 3:30 in the morning. I'm on Monivong Boulevard. I'm on my way home. And I realise that I've made an error. I've run out of Rizla. It's all right, mate. We'll stop at the Circle K. We can get you some. So now I get home. The time's about 4. And I realise that my housemate's locked the door. I have to break in through the kitchen window. And I'm lying on the floor. And she comes downstairs and she says, I don't know what to make of you, Carl. You've gone and pissed yourself again. So I have a shot of Sambuca. I have a cheeky cheroot. And I'll get to bed now. Because I'll get the boot. Thank you. Sorry, I've got to find my other papers now.
Go well, Carl. It's good stuff.
Thanks for the feedback. It's like Simon Cowell. This has always been my dream. My mum died last week. No, she didn't. So. This song's called The Rant. It's about COVID. COVID, Corona, you're really killing my boner. I'm sorry to be such a miserable moaner. Pandemic, plandemic, scamdemic, mandemic, that white man just coughed. Someone call a medic. The sanitizer provider is getting richer and wiser. My hands smell like a care home, like where my nan lives, yeah? More separatism, more fear. When will it stop? That's unclear. Boris Johnson's a clown. Another lockdown. Oh, look, a protest. Another 1,000 people in my town. Adults reminded, wash your hands and be clean. No shit, Sherlock. That's fucking basic hygiene. Paranoia, distrust. I don't know who to blame. Looking for someone to blame, but what does that achieve? Education systems that favour upper classes. Politicians are all posh cunts. They're not representing the masses. And rapists and paedophiles get our money for protection. I can barely make ends meet. I've had to sell my DVD collection. And the rich just get richer. The poor just get more skint. I'm buying a second-hand moto, but Boris Johnson's Rolls Royce is mint. And if we sorted out the corporations and the tax-dodging bitches and stop protecting sex offenders, we'd all share in the riches. So basically what I'm trying to get at is that all MPs are liars. We've got to stop feeding all the bullshit and the substandards that they supply us. And anyone that knows me knows that I'm not that political, but the state my country's in means that I have to now be critical. Because the Queen of England is useless and our Prime Minister's a clown. And what's surprising is the country's turning sinister and going down. Thank you. Can I do one more?
Yeah, one more.
Okay.
Go for it.
Thank you. This is about addiction. So the thing is with addiction, it can cause contradiction, cause unwarranted hurt and unfair pain infliction. It can mess with your mind and it can numb your senses, make love hard to find. and fill your head with pretenses. And all the times I made you frown, I turned that smile upside down, putting me first as you sat in the back of my mind wishing I could get back on track. I know I can't be like that anymore. I can't be the person that I was before. So self-harm is replaced by self-correction. I'm not moving completely, I'm just changing direction. As the clouds in my head begin to clear, I'm going to let the sun shine in. I'm going to fight the fear. I had airbrushed vision, and now it's clear. And all the times I hurt, the near and the dear, it's not about what you did, it's about what you did now. It's not about the who's, the whys, the whens, or how. And all of a sudden, a voice inside me rages. Thoughts become words that leap onto pages. Thinking about all the rights and the wrongs, becoming a positive melody in song. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to give a big shout out to Cloud and to Pierre for hosting us tonight. Because this is a beautiful venue to do some poetry, don't you think? Okay, let's give them a howl. On the count of three. Moi, be, bye. Oh! You see a theme here. Kristen, are you here? I'm not so good on names. Seemingly. Ladies and gentlemen, Kristen has one of the finest poems in the anthology, in my point of view. Regale us with your beautiful words.
Thank you so much, Wayne. I've actually come down from Siem Reap for this. Lucky enough to attend all the Howls in Siem Reap that Wayne has so graciously put on for us, and they've all been absolutely wonderful. I'm also lucky enough to be here representing Writing Through, which is an organization that I work for where we teach creative writing to different groups throughout Cambodia and some other countries too. But on the table to the left over here, to my left, I have some brochures about what we do. We use creative writing to work with thinking skills, language fluency, and self-esteem for people of all ages throughout a number of different countries. We also have an anthology printed from workshops that we've done through Cambodia, Singapore, and Vietnam. So if anybody's interested in more information, please feel free to approach me. I'm sitting just over there. And I have my first poem published. Yay! I'm so excited to be able to read it from a book. It's mine. It's here. So thank you again, Wayne. Last year I was lucky enough to marry the love of my life over there with the camera. We had a full-blown Cambodian wedding, and I wrote a poem about it because it's such an incredible experience to have. And the title of my poem is Chosen Dates. It was a mess. People coming and going, yelling and laughing. My quiet moments were a crescendo of confusion. This was the moment I had been waiting for. He was waiting for me, I for him. I traveled the world, never quite knowing what I was looking for, until I saw that smile, felt that warmth, and my life would never be the same. How naive I had been to believe I had ever been loved before. I can see colors clearly now, and had never even realized I was seeing in black and white. Here I was with a man, happy to be with me, to spoil me, to take care of me, to love me. We never had to hide our feelings. We could be honest, and our love was pure. I tripped and fell, tumbling into the chasm of the unknown, of love. These moments of calm, broken by being pushed and prodded, bound into dresses from another time, another person, another life. Outside those curtains was my future, intertwining with my past. Loved ones from far and wide coming to see what could make the wanderer, the nomad, the adventurer tie up her boots, settle down. It shone so brightly, everyone could see. This was the moment. The music was deafening, the excitement palpable, the language lost on me. We didn't understand, but we felt it. We absorbed it, it transported us, and we were royalty. Eternally, not without misunderstandings, misgivings, not imperfection. but in tenderness and love. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Even better hearing it the second time live. We're going to do one more poem in this session because I'm starting to run out of names. So, please come forward and add your name to the checklist of the stars. I'd like to welcome to the stage a man who has been here longer than I have, who probably as a European has done more for wildlife in this country than any other person I know. A man whose heart beats like the animal that he loves the most, the tiger, a very good friend and a true lover of the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage Mr. Nick Marks.
Okay. As you can see, I've never done this kind of thing before, so it's quite terrifying. The poem I've chosen describes events that took place in my life in the 1990s. It's as true an account as ever could be told in a few lines of verse. The reason I chose this poem is, if you join up the dots, it's actually the reason I'm now in Cambodia. It's called The Big Fella. It's strange the way things happen. I suppose you'd call it fate. The three of us so different, and yet still the best of mates. You were sick and still an infant. With no choice, I took you in. There was not much life left in you. You were small and sick and thin. But like magic, you recovered with both medicine and care. I was so glad to have you with me, and for a time my home we'd share. And though in strength and stature you grew as powerful as could be, you were such a gentle giant, a fact that all the world could see. It's now such a long time later, and I can say life's not been bad, but these days of which I'm speaking could be the best I've ever had. The other friend I speak of, a man so jocular and sound, and a greater mate to have than he, nor kinder could be found. He had humour and great courage, such a loyal friend to me, and to keep this slightly private, I shall simply call him T. So life went on as usual. You grew up, we lived apart. But though my home was no more yours, you were always in my heart. Some things had changed for all of us. He found a girl to care. And you also had a partner. You made such a handsome pair. For me, no such distractions. Perhaps I'm a solitary soul. Sometimes lonely, it seems partnerships were not to be my role. But although you had a lady, and T also had a wife, the one thing we could count on was we'd all be friends for life. So on that day in autumn, quite what happened, who can say? Again, a disagreement. Perhaps it all began in play. Some minor altercation, then the tragic hand of fate. I was close at hand and heard T shout. But I arrived too late. What led to this disaster we shall never be too sure. Once I'd fought my way between you, T lay so still upon the floor. The first chill winds of winter were blowing through your coat. On that grim November day, you seized on your friend's throat. Now I've heard the whys and wherefores, the apportioning of blame. We all wished it never happened, but the outcome's still the same. Things might have turned out different, perhaps at any other time. But you just did what tigers do, and I can't call that a crime.
That was very good. Very, very good. Right, we're going to have a little adjournment, but I thought I'd close out on a discovery that we made. As you know, in Siem Reap, we like our archaeology. And the Howl team have been digging, as we heard a rumour, that there was a lost Charles Podolsky poem somewhere in our bookshops. So we dug through the sands, we dug hard and far, and when I find it in the book, trying to rhyme now. That's awful. Okay, here we go. This is a lost Charles Podolsky poem. I want to compose food for you, share with you wine and song, to stare at you and know that I will soon take you, undress you with my eyes, balance you with my tongue, and for your black lingerie balled in my hands, you beautiful and dog-style black. And I will consume you front and back, mouth and high, and honour you at the temple of low men. And we will laugh and scream, pant and sweat, as we moisten the sheets and pound the walls. And at the end you will laugh, and then you will cry. Is that all you've got, old man? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's see you again. Second part. We need some more names, so come on, sign up.